I want to talk about Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. They're looked at as the two most entertaining power punchers in the division right now. Anthony Joshua has a 100% KO rate. Deontay Wilder has a very high KO rate as well of 97%. Now, a lot of people will be wondering which one punches the hardest. And Deontay Wilder, some people might be surprised, gets a bit of criticism because people say the opponents like Malik Scott, Eric Marino, Bemeister Verne, Artur Szpilka, they've all been knocked out before. So they're only setting up with guys that they know can be knocked out. So they're trying to say that maybe he's not that proven a power puncher at that top level. But Artur Duhaupas, who he fought just last year there, had never been knocked out before, had a very solid chin, and Deontay Wilder, even though he never knocked him down, did stop Duhaupas for the first time in his career. So that does say a lot for his power. And being able to go, 36 fights and KOing 35 people is incredible. I mean, that's George Foreman never achieved that in his first 36 fights. So you can't say he's not a power puncher. Now, Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, I still do think is a far more proven power puncher than Deontay Wilder. And the reason I say that is because Anthony Joshua has already been in with 3 opponents that have never been KO'd before, and he stopped all 3 of them. In fact, he's done 3 opponents in a row that have never been stopped before, and he's KO'd all 3 of them. And 2 of them had proven solid chins, very proven solid chins. And I'll just go through them. I'll go with the weakest one first. Gary Cornish, okay. Gary Cornish has been fighting guys, ranked in the top 200. So he hadn't been set up with anyone that was a real threat to him. But he's still never been stopped before, so that's one guy. You've got, obviously, Kevin Johnson. Not that long ago was ranked number 6 by the WBC. He'd been in there with guys like Tyson Fury and Vitaly Klitschko and Manuel Char. He'd never been stopped before. He went 12 rounds with these guys and never got stopped. He had a proven solid chin. They sent him in with Anthony Joshua to go 12 rounds, to give Anthony Joshua some experience over 12 rounds. Anthony Joshua almost knocked him out in the first round. He was that accurate and he's that powerful, he almost knocked him out in the first round. It went into the second and it got stopped halfway through the second, but it really should have been stopped in the first round. Then, obviously, Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte has had a kickboxing career, amateur boxing career, MMA career. He had 17 fights behind him in the professional career first. Never been stopped before. Never been knocked down before. Anthony Joshua gave him a lot of trouble in the first round. Dillian Whyte's chin stood up to that though, and it took to the 8th round before Anthony Joshua could actually knock him out before. But Dillian Whyte had a proven solid chin. He'd been through all these different 4 careers, never been knocked down before. He had a proven solid chin. So Anthony Joshua's power is actually more proven than Deontay Wilder's. I mean, I think that's clear. Then you've got to look at is who has the best chin. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but Deontay Wilder was knocked down by a bummy journeyman called Harold Schooners. The guy had more losses than he had wins on his record, and he had a KO rate of like 24%. And yeah, he knocked Deontay Wilder down, but to Deontay Wilder's credit, he got back up, he knocked him down another 4 times, and I think he stopped Harold Schooners in the second round. So it wasn't like it was a close fight, but he did get knocked down, and people raise a lot of questions about Deontay Wilder's chin. Since then, though, Deontay Wilder has put on about 25 pounds of muscle, and as you get heavier, because he was quite scrawny at the time, as you get bigger and you get more heavier, you have more punch resistance, and you can take punches far better to the body and far better to the head. Now, Deontay Wilder's last fight was against Artur Szpilka, and Artur Szpilka landed a lot of punches on Deontay Wilder. Almost as many punches as Deontay Wilder landed on Artur Szpilka. And Artur Szpilka never managed to knock Deontay Wilder down, never really had him badly hurt or wobbled during the fight, even though he landed some good punches. So to Deontay Wilder's credit, if he did have a poor chin to begin with, he's got a decent to reasonable chin now at least. And Anthony Joshua, he'd been stopped before in his amateur career, people have been questioning that. He went up against Dillian Whyte, and Dillian Whyte landed some good shots against him, and did have him wobbled, but he managed to regroup from that, stay professional, cover up, make it through the round, and come back and knock out Dillian Whyte. So both these guys have overcame some adversity when it comes to their chin before. So they both have decent chins. Anyway, we can't say they've got iron chins yet, but they've got decent chins anyway. Now the third thing we need to look at is their skill. This is the most important thing. The skill definitely has to go to Anthony Joshua at this stage of both their careers. It's very clear from watching the two of them. Deontay Wilder has quite an open defence a lot of the time. If any of you watched the Jason Gavin fight against Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, you can notice the big difference in their defence in that fight. Deontay Wilder, when Jason Gavin lunges at him with a punch, Deontay Wilder opens up his defence and leaves himself open for the second, third and fourth punch, and Jason Gavin did land that quite a few times. Jason Gavin hit him in the head and the body, especially in the first round, but throughout that fight. But when Anthony Joshua was fighting Jason Gavin, Anthony Joshua's defence, as you can see in all his fights, is very tight. He's got a very tight defence. He throws his punches from a very tight, accurate position as well. He keeps his chin tucked in. He's just got far superior defence, and Jason Gavin just could not get to his head. He managed to land a couple of shots to his very lower part of his body, but whenever he did manage to land a shot, most of them were hitting him on his arms, or he was just missing them completely, which brings me on to the second part, which is the footwork. Deontay Wilder, when you watch him, you can see him knock himself off balance every now and again. He's definitely not got the footwork of Anthony Joshua. As you watch the Jason Gavin fight again, when Jason Gavin lunges in, one of the reasons why he managed to hit Deontay Wilder so much is because his foot speed is not as good, and it's not as fast as Anthony Joshua's, so he can't get out the road quick enough. So Jason Gavin can land that second and third punch on his body. When you watch the Anthony Joshua fight against him, Anthony Joshua has very good footwork, foot speed. He can anticipate the punch and move right back out of the road quick enough. You can notice that in the first round. And I'm showing you right now the Jason Gavin versus Anthony Joshua fight, so you can see. As you watch that whole fight, you can see Anthony Joshua's defence is far better than the Deontay Wilder's fight if you watch that. And that's one other thing you need to compare between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua is the stamina. This is one thing Deontay Wilder does have over Anthony Joshua. He's definitely got far better stamina. You watch the Bermeen-Sterveen fight there, and Deontay Wilder keeps his work rate high throughout the whole fight, and at the very end of that fight, he looks like he can go more rounds. Deontay Wilder does have a lot of stamina. And Anthony Joshua, maybe he punched himself out quite a bit in the first round, but his work rate declined as the Dillian Whyte fight went on. Maybe because he was pacing himself for the 12 rounds, but his work rate was significantly lower. A lot of people looked at him and thought he looked very tired during that fight. Obviously, Dillian Whyte looked far more tired during that fight and was the one that eventually got knocked out. But I would say, yeah, Deontay Wilder clearly has more stamina than Anthony Joshua. So if they two fight, it would be a good idea for Deontay Wilder to carry Anthony Joshua into later rounds and try and up his work rate then and knock Anthony Joshua out. Who will win out of these two fighters? I don't know. They're both very big guys. They've both got a lot of power. They've never faced someone like each other before, a big guy with the skill that the big guy has, the power that the big guy has, the reach that each of these big guys actually have. Deontay Wilder does have an inch reach height advantage over Anthony Joshua, but they've both got the same 83-inch reach, and actually when it comes to size, the edge goes to Anthony Joshua because he's got that big 20-pound weight advantage over him. And as I've said before, heavyweight boxing in general is a weight-based sport, so having a 20-pound weight advantage is very significant, and it could mean the difference between having the more punching power and the more punch resistance to actually overcome the opponent and actually win the fight for Anthony Joshua. But just like I said, they've both got the power to knock each other out. and Deontay Wilder has the stamina to take Anthony Joshua into the later rounds and maybe knock him out then. So that's what I think of Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder so far.